the capital Brasilia today, Martin. First and second on the grid. Fabio Di Gianantonio's 1:17.410, securing that first pole position in nearly 1,400 days. We're back in Brazil for the first time since 2004. Of course, our last visit here was at Jaca da Faglia in Rio de Janeiro. And thanks for your patience, thanks for sticking with us. We're just a little bit behind schedule, just a short delay to proceedings as there was concerns over basically sinkhole that appeared in the track. We've had nothing but torrential rain since we first arrived here in Brazil just a few days ago. There's been some rapid repairs to the track surface here at the Autódromo de Goiânia Senna. So we are slightly underway later than scheduled here in the TISO sprint. I think they're local at 3 p.m. local time. That's instead of 15 minutes. The sprint will start 20 past 3. The heavy rains in the past few days caused a depression in the track surface, caused by soil movement underneath. It is off the racing line as you come out of the final quarter turn 14. Rapid repair work, great work by the organisation here in Goiânia and the FIM Thorn and the International Race Team Association to get the race action underway here. Moto3 and Moto2 qualifying, which were laid earlier on. We're hoping that they will run after this 15-lap TSO sprint. So we're super excited to bring you MotoGP race action for the first time in over 2 decades here in Brazil. Lewis, it's a tough act to follow. Matt Burt, Lewis is going to come to you, check up the eye down in pit lane. After qualifying this morning, Lewis, the 22 fastest riders in the world have some tough act to follow in this sprint because Fabio Di Gianantonio on pole, but it was probably one of the most incredible Q2s we've had for a long, long time. Incredible.
We have seen so much already on this Super Saturday. We haven't even got to sprint time yet. But that qualifying session, which from the rider at the front to the rider at the back, a second covered the entire MotoGP field across Q1 and Q2. 5 of the 12 riders in Q2 crashed, including several who were on laps that could have put them on pole position. Jorge Martin, he should have been on pole position. Marc Marquez, he would have been on pole without his crash midway through qualifying. What about Pecco Bagnaia, who went down on his first time lap of qualifying, while others flipped their lines? Fabio Di Gianantonio, who didn't exactly have a trouble-free session himself, he crashed too, but did ultimately take pole position. His second in MotoGP with a 1:17.410. First pole for nearly 4 years.
Really was a breathless Q2 this morning. We saw 5 of the 12 riders in that second qualifying session crash out. Jorge Martin looked like he was threatening his first pole position since the tail end of 2024 year. Of course, he went on to win the MotoGP World Championship. He was one of our high-profile callers in that earlier session. Chapter 2 then, the scheduled 22-round World Championship brings us back to South America. It's incredibly hot and humid, thankfully dry. Certainly thankfully dry for Marco Bezzecchi in the mixed conditions and full wet conditions yesterday. It was a tough start to this Brazilian Grand Prix. That Ford Perez found himself down in 20th, had a real tough task getting in himself out of Q1 this morning, particularly after he was one of several fallers at turn 4. He went down later in FP2. One bike at his disposal for Q1. Set the all-time lap record in that opening session of 1:17.408. And he was part of that historic Q2. As with Fabio Di Gianantonio, the 2 riders that came out of the opening qualifying session find themselves first and second on the grid. Marc Marquez, the reigning world champion, back-to-back front row starts already this season for the factory Ducati rider. Another casualty of that really tricky turn 4, Lewis. It's going to be a proceed with caution through a corner which has caught out the very, very best.
Yeah, it's been a troublesome spot throughout the weekend. It really does challenge the riders from the start of the lap to the end of the lap. There are so many different pitfalls, so many different obstacles, so many different challenges across this lap. It's a lap and a layout that the riders all generally really do enjoy. It's short in layout, but it really is busy. There are some corners that really do challenge the very best and catch out the very best, as we saw in qualifying earlier on today. One of the very best performances in this or arguably any qualifying session for quite some time though today came from the 2021 World Champion. Fabio Quartararo qualifies 4th on the grid. World Champion backing that up in the sprint. Maya Maragani speaking now to Jack.
Yeah, yes indeed. Maya, we saw Fabio last year pull out some phenomenal laps to take the whole position, but with that lap to finish 4th, this was good as anything we saw last year.
was a little bit better, but then I think it was a bit too hot in the last corner and he lost the rear and he lost the lap. Yeah, however, he had the confidence and he said that the bike was good enough step to be able to do this lap time. And yeah, it was quite positive on the bike. Maybe we could have slightly more power to engine. We could reduce the gap because yeah, to finish here. For sure, the safety is low. To have a gap by only 1.2 tenths is very, very important for us. We started well yesterday, and I thought that we are mainly due to the condition, but however, we have been able to manage good performance. And, as you can imagine, are very rewarding, and yeah, good boost because especially after last GP, you can imagine that we were all yeah, not happy to be where we are.
As you say, you guys took advantage of the conditions yesterday. A great job done by Fabio on top track. But in the drive this morning, Alex looked strong, Fabio looked strong. It seems as though that even in these dry conditions, things aren't anywhere near as bad as they were in the time.
Yeah, for sure they look different, and I would say better because as you said now on, this morning was 90% dry. We were able to gather some decent laps, and yeah, for sure the track layout is helping. Maybe also we have good camber. They help driver to carry higher speed in the corners. Now I read many comments by other riders that it's not easy to overtake, so it will be very important to have a big start and try to manage the position as much as possible.
So everyone at home will be able to see that the confirmation of an extra 15 minutes delay before pit lane opens, now 25 before 3:45 local time. What's going to be possible for Fabio? I imagine it's going to be 15 laps of survival, 5 potentially a stretch. Is he happy with a top 10?
Yeah, for sure, we will be happy. Now that okay, we start smelling maybe a better result, we would like to try to get the best result possible. As you can imagine, we don't have any data, any information to have an overview about how the race will go. In this moment is very, very complicated for us.
Just finally, you mentioned there a more powerful engine hopefully coming in the future. Have you any idea as to any updates post Thailand of when those first updates might start to come?
In this moment, the plan was to do the first 3 races with the same package, and then as soon something will be ready, we will test it, most likely, and we are all hoping that maybe Monday after GP we will try something new.
Thanks, Mike. Good luck.
You're welcome.
Thanks very much, Jack. Thanks as always to Factory Yamaha. That's my American. Yeah, just confirming then what Jack was telling you back at home. There is now a slight tweak to what was already a revised schedule. As you can see on the top right corner of the screens, pit lane will now open at 3:15 local time. 20-minute build-up then before we're hoping for lights out and sprint action underway at 15:35 local time. Top track Brands Gap League Ogler. It wasn't only Fabio Quartararo who's shining in that Q2 session this morning. Top track through into the second session after his brilliant performance in those mixed conditions yesterday, when he was third fastest. Pulling over some line analysis videos there, isn't he? His crew chief Alberto Giurviola. Just want to pick up some last-minute tips before he ventures out on circuit.
You might be looking for some tips from Toprak in this upcoming sprint. Because Texas yesterday, he was the outstanding performer in afternoon practice. Of course, a level playing field for every rider. So the rookies, Toprak and this man, Diogo Moreira, perhaps not at a disadvantage as they would be at other circuits. No one has been around the other MotoGP bike before. So Toprak and Diogo in the same boat as the rest of the MotoGP field, and both of them really stood up this weekend. Toprak qualifying against where most would have expected him to, given the opposition he had to fight with in Q2. 12th on the grid is still an outstanding effort from the turn back of row 4. And how close was this young man, Alfredo Diogo Moreira, to making Q2 earlier on this morning?
What right now is going through the mind of the 21-year-old Diogo Moreira from Sao Paulo, here in Brazil. He is the home crowd hero, the home crowd favourite. Starting his home round for 14th place on the grid, he is sporting that absolutely beautiful Ayrton Senna tribute helmet, which seems very poignant on today, with of course 21st of March should have been Ayrton Senna's 66th birthday today. So it makes that tribute helmet from Rio de Janeiro feel even more poignant for the late, great Brazilian sporting icon. Inside the factory garage, Marc Marquez. While we're just waiting for the build-up to continue for the sprint, let's have a ride around Goiânia with the reigning world champion. How did you like that watching at home? A guided tour from the GOAT, I guess you could say. Many people will see Marc Marquez, a tour guide around the 3.835 km Goiânia circuit. Alex Marquez, it's fair to say, is having his trials and tribulations at the moment, getting to grips with the new Ducati GP26. Did not trouble the point scoring pace in the sprint or the Grand Prix in our season opening in Thailand. And he finds himself on the middle of the third row of the grid, an all Spanish at the third row, ahead of his team sprint. Alex sandwiched in between his impressive returning teammate Ferdinand Aldeguer. What a ride by Aldeguer. His first Grand Prix appearance since Valencia last November, out-qualifying his teammate Alex, out-qualifying the world champion leader Pedro Costa on the factory KTM. Of course, was one of those fallers at turn 4. And what so far you have to say has been a bit of a shocking Saturday as far as KTM are concerned. The leading constructor right now in the MotoGP World Championship, Costa, 32 points he picked up over in Thailand, 9th on the grid. The other 3 KTMs, Lewis, right at the very back.
Yeah, the KTMs, they're the only manufacturer so far